coffee?
Cup of coffee, fantastic idea. In truth, we aren't anything but relationship. All the ideas, all the stories. This body is relationship. This body is a relationship of earth and water and sky and space. This mind is a relationship of my ancestors and, my children and everybody I've ever read, every book I've ever read, everything I've ever watched comes through and moves through these synapses. And so there's nothing in here that isn't relationship. And so we have to do relational yoga in some kind of way eventually. And I think that's a crucial part of practice. And emotions are a very ancient part of our biology. We get our basic emotions from, I like evolutionary biology, and a lot of what I teach comes from evolutionary biology to some degree or another. And, the sort of basic feelings we have of anxiety and fear and craving, wanting something, wanting, are deep old feelings going back millions and millions and millions of years, hundreds of millions of years, to when we were like invertebrates. But those feeling states, they drive people crazy. They drive people into very strange actions, and we're taught very early on to ignore the feeling worlds that are not supposed to serve us. So boys are taught to not be sad and not cry and not do all sorts of stuff, and girls are taught not to be angry. So we're instantly taught to split ourselves into the good stuff and the bad stuff. And we're taught that we won't be loved if we express certain things. What happens when we have places in us that we don't like or can't access freely or can't honour as part of us is we project them outwards onto other people. And in relationship, that always causes problems. If we're not seeing the fullness of who we are and not seeing the fascinating kaleidoscope of who we are, if you can't allow yourself to be vulnerable and soft with strength, you're going to have one vision of yourself, the internal vision of vulnerability or something like that, and the external armour that you have to keep up. And that disparity is going to lead you to problems. It's going to lead to some mental health problem at some stage or another. Because we're trying to keep this, we've got this internal feeling, and we're trying to keep up that story on the outside, and it's not going to work. It's going to collapse. So emotional yoga is very much about getting really frank and honest with who we really are, and honouring the shadow. Really honouring the shadow and coming into that place of acceptance. We can be in intense difficulty, or it can be absolutely pissing it down. And at the same time, there's beauty in that rain, and there's beauty in the cold fingers. And I pray that when I die, I'm going to enjoy the experience. It's going to be, however that happens to be, to really enjoy the beauty of that experience in a profound way, and not be fixated or rigid in fear. So I think the emotional yoga is taking us into a place of becoming really whole, and in many ways we can't really practice yoga until we've done that work.